after cardiac arrest. He has had 2 autopsies since then. His body has been kept in a secret location, his body just being brought out of the Forest Lawn mortuary. Greg Milam is there for us. You can hear the cheers behind me at the Staples Centre. Explain more about that to you in just a moment. But Greg Milam is standing by at Forest Lawn for us. Greg, what more can you tell us?
Well, we know that funeral service is now underway, a private family funeral for the Jackson family, away from most of the cameras, although the police, the media helicopters hovering over the Forest Lawn Memorial Centre and bringing us pictures of the Hall of Liberty, which is where that funeral service is taking place for family members and close friends, we would imagine, of Michael Jackson. We saw them gathering this morning at the family's home in Encino, about 15 minutes away from here, the line of limousines as those family members and friends made their way out of the Jackson family home where Jermaine Jackson lives, and what's been really the focus for the family since Michael Jackson's death 12 days ago. Again, a focus for fans, of course, there at Encino, but the fans, the family getting into their limousines, heading off in this direction towards Forest Lawn, where we'd been told really for the last 24 hours it had been confirmed that this is where that family funeral would take place. Those vehicles bearing them here, we don't know exactly the lineup of friends there, but certainly the family inside, Joe Jackson, Michael's mother Catherine, of course, Jermaine and the others, brothers and sisters as well, and we imagine also those 3 young children, Michael Jackson's 3 children, who today are saying goodbye to their father. They arrived here at the Forest Lawn Memorial Centre. It's a place well used to dealing with celebrity burials. They've done it for many, many years, and those vehicles through the gates, through a massive police operation here to keep the media and the public back and allow the family that privacy as they held that service here. The cortege making its way, as I say, through the gates and up, winding up through the very lush green hills of Forest Lawn to a place well away from us, well away from the cameras, and an auditorium which is called the Hall of Liberty. It holds 1,200 people if they want it to, and it's there that that funeral service is taking place. The family members going inside, and that's where Michael Jackson's body will be, and where they will get their chance to say goodbye. What's still not clear is what will happen next. We know, of course, that memorial service is taking place at the Staples Centre, and still the belief that Michael Jackson's body will in some form be taken to the Staples Centre and be part of that memorial service. But the LAPD have been working to try to find a way to do that at the family's request, and we'll wait to see what happens when the family leave, to see how exactly they do transport him downtown into Los Angeles. It's about 20 minutes away from here, the Staples Centre, and how exactly they make him the focus of that memorial service where you are.
Yeah, Greg, something like 1 million people, I believe, buried there at Forest Lawn. He'll be in good company if that is his final resting place, although so many rumours and speculation about where he will finally be interred. Certainly the family didn't want him to be at Forest Lawns, did they?
Well, there are other Jackson family members at Forest Lawn, and I think for any celebrity family, it's in many ways it's the obvious place to have a funeral service like this. If you want to avoid huge amounts of media and public interest, they're very well used to dealing with this kind of funeral, perhaps not on this scale, but certainly celebrity funerals. And what they can do is make sure that if this is Michael Jackson's final resting place, that no one gets near to his grave in the years to come. They have security here. There are plenty of celebrity graves which are not open to the public. Many of them are, of course, and there are all sorts of tours that go on of the celebrity graves here in Forest Lawn, but some of them are kept away, and I think there's a feeling that that's what the family wanted. There is still speculation, of course, that this won't be his final resting place, that this is very much an interim place for him to rest until the family finds somewhere more suitable, and still the speculation that perhaps they would like him to be buried at Neverland, his former home, 100 miles or so north of Los Angeles, if they get permission for that to happen. That's speculation, of course, but Michael Jackson's body has been here certainly in recent days. There was what appeared to be a viewing last night for family members. LaToya and Randy Jackson were filmed going in. There was a huge police presence up at the Hall of Liberty, and it appeared to be something going on there ahead of what's happening today. But today very much the private family funeral going on before they head to downtown Los Angeles for the chance for the public and fans, of course, to say their goodbye and pay tribute to a man who was a hero to many of them.
Such a difficult day, isn't it, for Catherine Jackson, 79 years old, burying her son, not the natural order of things to bury your child before you, and a difficult day too for his 3 young children. Too difficult for people like Elizabeth Taylor, I believe, Greg, who said, I'm not coming.
No, she described it as a hoopla, all of what was going on around Michael Jackson's death and that memorial service. She, of course, is pretty frail herself these days, but it's maybe surprising that she wouldn't want to be here to say goodbye. Of course, we don't know. Maybe she's come along to the funeral service itself and will be avoiding the memorial. She was a long-time friend of Michael Jackson. She got married at the Neverland Ranch in the early 1990s, and we all remember those pictures of Michael Jackson pretty much at every public appearance that Elizabeth Taylor has made in her later years. Michael Jackson was there. He was a huge fan. Also no mention, of course, of Diana Ross, or little mention of Diana Ross and what part she might play, named by Michael Jackson as a fallback guardian for his 3 children should his mother become unable to look after them in the years to come. An old friend of Michael Jackson from his earliest days at Motown, when she was an established star, of course, and someone who was very close to the whole Jackson family, that real family of Motown, if you like, that was very much a support network for them all back in the early 1970s. There are bound to be friends who perhaps don't get media attention, who've been with the Jackson family for so long, and we don't know exactly who will be in that Staples Center, aside from the fans, come the start of that memorial service, and indeed how many people and who they are at the Forest Lawn here, who are saying a more private goodbye.
OK, Greg, thanks very much indeed for now. The Jackson clan paying their private respects to Michael Jackson, who died 10 days ago, waiting something like 4 to 6 weeks for those toxicology reports to find out exactly how he died. But we heard yesterday that 5 doctors have now been questioned by the police in connection with the superstar's death. They will be coming down in a motorcade on one of the freeways here to downtown Los Angeles. They will be flanked by the LAPD, and they'll be coming down to the Staples Center, where something like 20,000 people will be paying their final respects to Michael Jackson. There is a performance planned. We're told it's a memorial. It's not a TV show. Let's talk to Matt Smith, our showbiz correspondent, who is down here with me outside the Staples Center, where security is very tight, Matt.
Yes, it is, Kay. It's very, very tight. The whole area has been locked down. For those without tickets, the LAPD are saying, you're not welcome, do not come. For those with tickets, they've been filing in for about 3 hours here. And if we pan to the left, I think we can show you some of the fans that are filtering in. They've been coming in a mixture of bittersweet mood amongst them. They're very excited to be here, but they're not exactly, well, they're very careful, I think. They're very measured in how they're coming in, because once they get through the gates, they are starting to smile and enjoy themselves and really taking in the moment. But then they're kind of thinking about why they're here. They then come up to this remembrance wall here, and you see them stop and really sort of check themselves and just take a moment. A lot of them have been lingering outside here and just sort of bowing their heads and just thinking about Michael Jackson, I think, before they go inside to this 90-minute service, which will start at 10 a.m. Local time, 6 p.m. your time. So it's a real mixture, a real bittersweet feeling, really, amongst these fans. As you say, 17,500 won a ticket in a lottery. Lots more fans came from Britain and many other parts of the world in the hope that they would get a ticket. Some got lucky, some haven't. Some have resorted to touts. We've been hearing that some of the tickets have been selling for $500 a piece. But those who are here wanted to be here, wanted to pay their last respects to a man that they followed. Some have followed really since the start of his solo career and even before that.
OK, Matt, actually the latest we're hearing is that it could be that the memorial is put back half an hour. Obviously the private service going on a little bit longer than expected up there at Forest Lawn Cemetery. So as a result, we are being told that perhaps the memorial back as far as half an hour. But don't worry, you will not miss a frame here on Sky News. And if you prefer high definition, if you've got one of those tellies, then Sky Arts 1 HD. Stay tuned our way for that. 2 of those fans that Matt was talking about are with me here. They are Helen and Cheryl from Wales. Sky News, I'm sure you were watching earlier on today, gave Helen and Cheryl a couple of tickets and they were very pleased indeed. You're looking forward to the concert, ladies, the memorial service, but when you look at these pictures of the coffin, it brings it all home, doesn't it?
Really,
how does it
sad.
make you feel?
Really sad. Down there I was happy, but now seeing that I'm sad. It's just a mixture of emotions all the time.
What do you think, Helen?
Like Cheryl said, down there, everybody was happy. You would have loved this for all countries, people from all over the world to come together, all different colours, languages. But since standing up here with the UK, I feel very sad. It's very, very sad for the family. Like you said earlier, for those 3 little children of his, it's unbelievable. It's very, very sad.
Cheryl, there's some suggestion, and we don't know yet, that the coffin, the casket, may come here and be on display, if that's the right word, during the memorial service. How would you feel about that?
I think it would make this day complete. It would make it complete. I say, since we've arrived here, we've done so much, and seen so many things with, to do with Michael. Today now, seeing that, if it is coming, it would make it complete. It would really make it complete.
What do you think, Helen?
I don't know, I'm a bit mixed up about that.
I am as well, actually. How do you feel about
I
it?
think it is a memorial service at the end of the day. That's what we must respect the family, and it is a memorial service. But at the end of the day, we are here to celebrate a life. And I think Michael would have absolutely loved that, to be in the middle of all this, on stage, where he was born to perform. He's going to finish off on stage.
But Cheryl, as a mother, I wonder how those little ones will feel. They've gone through that service. It's been very difficult. No doubt they've seen their grandmother upset. And then they will see their father's coffin in front of them for another 90 minutes.
Really, really sad. I just can't. You can't begin to wonder what those children are going through, and their thoughts, and it's just unbelievable. Like, really, really sad. Really, really sad.
Okay, ladies. Well, thank you very much
thank you.
for talking to us. I know that you go in and take your seats. It will be a joyous occasion inside.
Of course, it's going to be a celebration.
Yeah, do enjoy it.
Thank you, Kay.
Perhaps you'll be good enough to come back and talk to us
Certainly,
later
yeah. Thank you
on.
so much.
Okay, for now, ladies, thank you very much
Kay.
indeed. So the memorial service underway very shortly indeed. We believe that the funeral service is taking place, as you can see, at the Hollywood Hills, at the Forest Lawn Mortuary in the Hall of Liberty. Forest Lawn not likely to be the final resting place of Michael Jackson, is what we're being told. He could come here in the casket for the memorial service. We believe the family, their supreme wish is that he will finally rest at Neverland. They don't have permission to do that at the moment, Jeremy, but they are working on that, we're told, and they do hope that Michael will be able to be laid to rest finally at Neverland. We are covering every single frame of this memorial service. It really is quite a lineup, as you know. Among the stars who'll be taking part are Smokey Robinson and Lionel Richie as well, amongst others. Al Sharpton will be representing the family. It's on Sky News and it's on Sky Arts 1 HD. So do stay tuned our way. Send us your thoughts as well. news@sky.com 84501, leaving you with the pictures of that memorial service up at the Hollywood Hills Forest Lawn Cemetery.
Thanks very much, Kay. Look forward to joining you at 1:30 in about 17 minutes' time. She's going to be not only here on Sky News, but Kay's going to be guiding you through the coverage in high definition on Sky Arts 1 HD, as she was saying, from 5:30. By that time, we may well have found that proceedings with the Jackson family and the entourage will have moved now from Forest Lawn Cemetery, where we're concentrating at the moment, here with the family leaving after that short funeral service. And the focus will start moving to where Kay is down at the Staples Centre in downtown. It's a journey of about 8 miles, but at this time of the day it could of course be pretty thronged with traffic. Not sure how long that journey is going to take. No doubt the streets are going to be packed with well-wishers and onlookers just wanting to pay their respects. So as we lose that picture, we've got Forest Lawn Cemetery back again. So a phalanx of cars there, a cavalcade will be setting off very shortly, including the body of Michael Jackson, who will be honoured at that concert in his memorial, in his memory, at the Staples Centre, one of the great entertainment centres downtown. And it's being seen as perhaps the biggest show that Hollywood and LA has seen since the Olympics back in 1984, and that certainly had thousands congregating around LA then. And of course there was the huge event of Frank Sinatra's death back in 1998, and I remember then being in LA and covering that, and again thousands of people came from around the world to pay their last respects, just as they're doing with Michael Jackson today. Greg Milam, our correspondent on the spot there, watching events up at Forest Lawn. Greg.
Well, yes, as expected, that private family funeral taking place now some distance behind me up in the hills of Hollywood here. The family confirmed yesterday that it would be here, that there would be a private event before they moved on to that memorial service in downtown LA. What has changed is the suggestion that Michael Jackson's body will accompany them to that memorial service. We'll remember that news conference last week where the family said that there would be no body and no funeral procession at the memorial service that's taking place today. Clearly that's changed, and there's certainly been some work going on with the Los Angeles Police Department and the other city authorities to make sure that can happen. We assume it's going to take the form of a funeral procession those few miles into Los Angeles. Of course, it's a late change to the procedure, and I think there's been some urgent rethinking going on by the authorities here to allow that to happen. But certainly, with regard to what's gone on here, it's gone exactly as the Jackson family would have hoped. Forest Lawn is well used to dealing with celebrity funerals. They've been doing it for decades here, and there are other Jackson family members buried here. So it was always going to be a place of great importance for the Jackson family, and where they felt they could be away from the prying eyes of the public and also the cameras, apart from the helicopters, of course, which are still hovering above. They could be inside that auditorium, the Hall of Liberty. They could say their private farewells to Michael Jackson, and then allow the public to have their chance to say goodbye to a man who was a hero to many millions, of course, of fans, and so many thousands of them are here in Los Angeles to try to get a glimpse, if they haven't got a ticket to be inside the Staples Center, to try to get a glimpse of what is going on. Well, there will now be a procession for them to try to see, but the police have warned them to stay away. They've said you won't get near the Staples Center, and that by far the best place to watch this is on television. But they'll come and try because they want to be here to pay their tributes.
I'm sure you're right, Greg. Well, we know that, of course, 1.6 million people applied for tickets for the public memorial event. As Greg was saying, 8,750 names were chosen at random for the tickets. 17,500, that's the total number of tickets handed out to fans, 2 per recipient, of course, for the Staples Center. And let's just take a look at the Staples Center, where the focus is going to move very shortly. 19,000 seating capacity there at the Staples Center, which is known for hosting great concerts, world-renowned sporting events and so on, but 1 in 813 with the odds of getting a ticket for the memorial if you applied, and 18 was the number of vehicles that made up the motorcade transporting the Jackson family members to that private memorial ahead of this public event. 5 Rolls Royces, 3 Cadillac Escalades, 10 identical black Range Rovers, and 1,400 LA police officers asked to volunteer for duty today for this memorial event, according to the local LAPD. Well, this is the inside of the Staples Center, where this extraordinary concert, this great one-off in memory of Michael Jackson, is going to be taking place in the next few hours. And of course you can see it live on Sky News, live in high definition as well on Sky Arts 1 HD. And we'll be seeing an extraordinary list of entertainers in there. Let's just remind you of who's going to be taking part, paying their tribute to Michael Jackson. The performers include Smokey Robinson, Mariah Carey, Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder. The younger generation, his music influenced, of course, too, represented by Usher, John Mayer, and the Oscar-winning actress Jennifer Hudson. And there's a surprise for Britain's Got Talent finalist, 12-year-old Shaheen Jafagoli, who's going to be singing the Jacksons' I'll Be There. The world of sport going to be broadly represented as well, with the legendary basketball players Magic Johnson and the current LA Lakers star Kobe Bryant, well known in the city of LA now. Martin Luther King III and Bernice King, children of the assassinated civil rights leader Martin Luther King, also going to be there. as well as old friends like Motown founder Berry Gordy, the actress Brooke Shields, the Reverend Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, who told us the singer came from an amazing family.
Michael Jackson is a winner at the end of this game. And from Gary, Indiana, a family of 11 in 4 rooms, father, crane operator, welder by day, a disciplinarian, a music teacher by night, a religiously devout mother who made their clothes, their uniforms. That family coming out of Gary is a great miracle and a quintessential family values story.
Thank you for your time.
Well, it's worth reminding you that Robert Nisbet is with many people who actually can't get into the Staples Center, but they still come to Hollywood and LA all the same. And Robert's on the Walk of Fame, I believe, very near that old famous landmark of Mann's Chinese Theatre. What are you seeing and hearing, Robert?
Right outside it, in fact, Jeremy, and this is Michael Jackson's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and it's become a focal point really throughout the past 12 days of grieving. People have come here and put banners and teddy bears and a lot of flowers, and I think to many British journalists it certainly became a reminder of the events in 1997 and Princess Diana's funeral, that they had to clear the number of flowers away because so deep were they were beginning to decompose, and they put crash barriers along here for the course of today so people can move along and they can try and keep the pavement clear as well. But obviously some very devoted fans who are upset that they couldn't get into the Staples Center but have still come here regardless. If I could ask you all, where have you traveled from?
San Jose, California.
San Jose, California. And why did you make the trip? What is it about Michael Jackson?
Well, he's the king of pop. We owe him this respect to come out here and show our love and support for Michael. That's why we're here.
There are a lot of people who talk about Michael Jackson fans being among the most devoted. Why do you think it is, and what was it about Michael Jackson that makes you so devoted, that you're willing to travel long distances to come and pay tribute?
Because he helped everyone. He helped everyone, with money, food, everything. He was loving, caring, very, always there for everybody.
But the media portrayal of him over the last few years, including the court cases, etc., I mean, they damaged his reputation, didn't they?
Well, yeah, they did.
I don't think they try to damage his reputation. It's up to the person if they want to believe what they want. Michael Jackson's one of the most famous icons in the world, so it's easy for someone to try to get money off him. I mean, if they would have asked him for money, he would have been glad to give it to him. They didn't have to make these false excuses. I really don't believe he did it, and that's just my personal opinion. I think this man, everyone owes him the respect. And the media should leave him alone. I mean, let him rest in peace now. He's always been a good person since I first heard his music, 1978. I got all his albums. These are some of the albums I have. I actually have more at home. Michael's the greatest icon in the world.
And so you presumably don't carry those around all the time. You brought them along here. Why did you bring your albums down here?
Because it's a special moment. This is part of history, so I figured as part of history, I'll just bring a couple of the albums down, show them to the people. And, albums are hard to get. These are hard to find albums. I'm a DJ, so I have obviously a lot of records. That's why I brought them.
Terrific. Well, they're probably going to be even harder to get now. Thank you very much indeed for your time, and from everybody gathering out here at Michael Jackson's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Back to you, Jeremy, in London.
Thanks very much. Well, I'm going to take viewers straight to the driveway of the Forest Lawn Cemetery, a memorial park there in the Hollywood Hills, where the cavalcade of the Jackson family and close family and friends are starting to leave after that short funeral service and starting to head down the 8 miles or so to the heart of downtown Los Angeles. There are the gates where you can see police on duty there. We're hearing 1,400 LA police asked to volunteer today to protect and guard the route and the Staples Center as well as the Forest Lawn Cemetery. Apparently cheers went up at the Staples Center when the footage was shown on the big screen of Michael Jackson's golden coffin decorated with red flowers emerging from the cemetery, ready to be transferred in the black hearse that you can see now to the public concert and the public memorial event. Inside the center of the stage, adorned with the star's image, a mural carrying the words, "In loving memory, Michael Jackson, King of Pop, 1958 to 2009. Greg Milam, our correspondent, is at Forest Lawn up there in the Hollywood Hills, and this cavalcade starting to move down the hill now and in towards the heart of LA itself, out through the gates as we can see it right now, Greg.
Yes, and one extra vehicle, it appears, from those that went in, which is the hearse that will carry Michael Jackson downtown to the Staples Center, and those fans and those friends and the family, of course, who will say goodbye to him unexpectedly. Perhaps we didn't yesterday expect that this would be the case, that his coffin would be on the freeway, accompanied by those family and friends, and the LAPD, of course, the California Highway Patrol closing the freeway ahead of him so that his body can be borne to the Staples Center, and his fans will get the chance to say the goodbye that perhaps they hadn't anticipated. There was remember that statement from the organisers of the memorial service that there would be no body, there would be no funeral procession. Well, now we're getting both, and those fans, those 17,500 fans who will be inside, will see that, and those family members who are in the vehicles behind that hearse will also be there. The change of plan, we don't know why that change of heart came from the Jackson family, but something happened in the last 24 hours that meant they wanted this to be the way of this funeral, and not simply a memorial service in Michael Jackson's absence. Still some questions about what will happen afterwards, where his body will finally be laid to rest. No doubt it will return to Forest Lawn, where it's been for the last few days, while they make a decision about his final resting place. But that funeral service has taken place. The private family funeral service lasted about an hour in the Hall of Liberty inside Forest Lawn, a very private place for fans for families to be away from fans and the media and be able to pay their respects. There was, incidentally, the Los Angeles Fire Department helicopter on standby in Forest Lawn. That was seen as one potential way that they could have got his body to the Staples Center. Clearly that's been deemed to be unnecessary now, but all along that route, those 8 miles to the Staples Center, the news helicopters will follow that cortege. They'll follow Michael Jackson on that journey into a city that, of course, he was pretty much king of for the last 20 years or so, and down to those fans who he meant everything to ever since he appeared on the scene back in the early 1970s. His funeral procession is now on its way to Los Angeles, and to that very public farewell after the private funeral here.
Greg, as we can see the hearse moving away from Hollywood Hills and heading downtown now, carrying the gold-plated coffin of Michael Jackson. Worth bearing in mind the words of the police chief named Bratton, who said that it was probably the largest event that the police had to plan since the 1984 Olympics there in LA.
It seems extraordinary, doesn't it? And this is the man who was the police commissioner of New York. He knows a thing or two about big events, and it was clear when the Jackson family had him on their side that what's happening now was going to happen. And for Los Angeles, for California, of course, hugely in debt. It has massive financial problems. There are questions about who's paying for this massive security operation that's going on. There's no real answer to that at the moment, but I think you get a feeling that the city of Los Angeles wanted to play its part, and certainly the police. And they've been here in huge numbers since late last night, making sure that no one got inside to Forest Lawn. They wanted to play their part. They wanted to be very much seen as doing their bit to give a grand farewell to Michael Jackson, and they've managed to do that. It's been what the family wanted here. It's been dignified. It's been very somber in many respects, certainly for the many fans who have been here over the last 24 hours or so. It may be different, of course, at the Staples Center. The fact that we have a memorial service with such big names, and now we have the body of the man who is the centre of all of this attention going to be there, could change the atmosphere.
Thanks, Greg. Well, as we watch the hearse there carrying the gold-plated coffin of Michael Jackson at the heart of an 18-car motorcade with the Jackson family there heading away from the funeral service at Hollywood Hills, Forest Lawns, 5 Rolls Royces, 3 Cadillac Escalades, a range of 10 identical black Range Rovers, heading now towards the Staples Center, as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, the blue light bathing the stage, where many of the greatest stars in black music in America are going to be paying their tribute to Michael Jackson in front of a stage crowd of over 11,000 people. We'll be there live in just a moment.
Hello, good evening from Los Angeles, where thousands of fans and many show business legends have gathered to say goodbye to a megastar. We're live at the Staples Center for what promises to be a spectacular send-off for Michael Jackson, who died 12 days ago at the age of just 50. 17,500 lucky fans are here. They hear stars including Stevie Wonder, Lionel Richie and Mariah Carey pay their final tributes to the King of Pop. And the late-breaking news, Michael Jackson's coffin will be brought here and will reside centre stage throughout the event. So after much deliberation, reported family feuding and false leads, the world will say farewell to Michael Jackson today. And a memorial fit for an entertainment legend is about to get underway. And a reminder, if you don't want to miss even the smallest detail, you can watch the whole thing in high definition. That's on Sky Arts 1 HD, channel 258, or on our website, skynews.com. With me now are three guests who are going to talk us through what they think the ceremony is going to look like a little bit later on. I was going to say awards ceremony. It's certainly a lineup that's looking like that, isn't it? Let me introduce you first of all. Next to me, Andrew Blankstein from LA Times, also Eric Peterson from The Hollywood Reporter, and Tanya Acker from The Huffington Post, and a lawyer as well. Thank you all for joining us. Ladies first, what do you think it's going to be like in there? They say they want it to be low-key, but given the guest list, unlikely.
I think that low-key is quite unlikely. I mean, I think you can just see from this scene that this will be anything but. We're here really to pay tribute to an icon, frankly, someone who I think is the last icon of that sort. Certainly, Michael Jackson was the product of a star machine that really doesn't. He became a star at a time when you didn't have Facebook and Twitter and MySpace. We all just talked about him and danced about him and celebrated him, and I think that's what we're going to do right now.
Eric Peterson.
Yeah, I agree with Tanya. I think it's going to be a throwback to some of the old Hollywood, old-time rock and roll stuff that we haven't seen in this town in a long time. Inside, I think the mood is going to be upbeat. I don't think it's going to be very somber. I certainly expect it to be an incredible spectacle with what they've planned, what they had planned for the shows in London, and from what we've heard about what the show inside is going to be. Obviously, the lineup is going to be terrific, and I hope we get plenty of great music along with just the testimonials and certainly the outpouring of accolades and stuff for Michael.
Andrew Blankstein, just as we talk to you, we're actually looking at the coffin. We believe that the casket is actually going to be brought down here and will take centre stage throughout. It's actually travelling on the highway, so obviously it is heading our way. How do we feel about that?
Well, there was obviously a tremendous amount of time short time, but a lot of time planning what was going to be the motorcade that would bring the body to Staples. The LAPD has basically a third of the force has been dispatched to deal with aspects of this. For some, obviously, it may be difficult, but it is a quasi religious part of what is a precursor to a burial, and so I think it's not surprising in a lot of ways, and obviously it's going to add a dimension to this, what will be a celebration as well. Yeah.
Tanya, we're hearing from Ken Ehrlich. He does the Grammys, doesn't he? And Kenny Ortega, who was the choreographer, they've put the show on. They say it's a celebration of his life. It's not a TV show. Yeah, right. Jermaine Jackson apparently is going to sing Smile Though Your Heart Is Aching. There won't be a dry eye in the house.
I think there won't be. I mean, the interesting thing is that what a fitting tribute to Michael Jackson. I mean, here's someone who did not live his life in a very low-key way. He was full of all of the drama, all of the sort of magnificent performance that we really expect of an entertainer, and he's going to be put to rest in exactly the same way. I think that it's absolutely fitting. It's a really fitting tribute.
1 billion people are going to be watching worldwide, we're told. Elizabeth Taylor chose not to come.
I guess that doesn't surprise me too much. She probably didn't want to take away from what is really going to be Michael Jackson's day. You know, if Elizabeth Taylor shows up, this town's going to pay a lot of attention to her, maybe take away a little bit from his memorial, his big chance and last chance in the spotlight. But I guess I'm a little surprised that that she made the decision not to come, though, because we know how close they've been over their lives, and calling each other best friends. It doesn't surprise me too much, though, that she has said, okay, I'll watch this from home and I'll let everybody else give the day for Michael.
She referred to it actually as the whoopla. Apparently she was tweeting and saying she didn't want to be involved. Stand by, guys,
Elizabeth
if you would,
Taylor
please. Viewers, you're watching the casket as part of that motorcade coming down one of the freeways. It's about an 8-mile journey here to the Staples Centre behind me. The fans are still milling behind me, as you can see. There was a private service, obviously not a burial, because we saw the casket coming down the freeway. Greg Milam is up at the Forest Lawn Cemetery up in Hollywood Hills. Greg, we didn't know that was going to be his final resting place. Obviously, it's not going to be. He's going to be brought here for this 90-minute or so memorial service. Do we know what's going to happen to him after that?
Well, no, we don't. Certainly he's been here for the last few days while preparations have gone on, not only for that private family funeral that we saw in the last hour, but also that memorial service that's going on where you are. There is still a suggestion, certainly many of his fans believe, that his final resting place will indeed be Neverland, his ranch about 100 miles north of here. But there is an issue with getting permission for that to happen, and it may well be that in the meantime he comes back here and is able to rest in peace here while those legal arguments go on. We saw pretty much an hour's long service took place here. Well away from the cameras, the media helicopters hovered above, but there was no way for fans or the media to get a close look at what was going on, and that's what the family had wanted. That cortege of vehicles swept in an hour or so ago. We saw them leave the vehicles, go into a place that's called the Hall of Liberty, which is pretty much the major auditorium in the Forest Lawn where a private family funeral can take place. And then a short time ago, that cortege with one extra vehicle, the hearse carrying Michael Jackson, swept out of the gates, escorted by the California Highway Patrol and the Los Angeles Police Department, keeping that freeway clear so that cortege can make its way downtown, 8 miles or so to the Staples Center, and no doubt a very different atmosphere at the Staples Center to the more somber and very private affair that the family have had here so far today.
Okay, Greg, stand by for just a second. We can see, I think, the image of a heart in the sky. We showed it to you just a short time ago. Hard to love him is how it was described in one, I think it was in People magazine. I was reading a tribute to him. Hard to love him, hard not to. 17,500 fans are sharing their hearts with the Michael Jackson family at the memorial service here. We are being told that it could actually get underway on time now. They're making up some time. So if you are watching us on Sky News, Sky Arts 1 HD, we are expecting it to start around about 6 p.m. London time, as soon as the family cortege makes its way down the highway. As you can see, LAPD have cleared the route for them. It's about 8 miles or so, as Greg was saying. Matt Smith is down with some of the crowds. Matt, what's the atmosphere down where you are?
I would say it's pretty bittersweet, Kay. I mean, most of the fans are coming in, they're excited to be here, and then they're sort of stopping and thinking about why they are here. Once they get to sort of the memorial wall just in front of here, I think it kind of reminds them why they are here. And I think once they start to see that cortege nearing, they will be given a shock reminder really why they're here. I mean, obviously it's been a bit of a roller coaster of emotions for them, obviously hearing that their idol has been had a heart attack and died, but then getting into this whole thing about the online lottery as well, which got a lot of fans' expectations up. A lot of fans dashed. A lot of them have been coming here without tickets in the hope that they will get here. Some of the tickets have been changing hands for 500. Larry King, we understand, arriving here. One of many high-profile names expected. There was talk that the Clintons might be coming here, as well as the stars, Kay, that you've mentioned earlier on, Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder and Usher. Now let's bring in just one person who will be going into the event. Kevin Hughes is a DJ on Capital Radio in London, and we've been talking to you throughout since the story broke. I mean, how do you feel now you're here?
Yeah, surreal actually. I can't actually believe I'm here. I was in London on Friday, thought I've got to be here. I want to pay tribute to Michael Jackson, and now I'm actually here. The emotion is actually kicking in, and all the fans that I've been talking to, walking through the crowds, and it is a big media circus, but there's definitely a change of atmosphere. It's hitting home today that Michael Jackson is no more. This isn't the opening night of a Michael Jackson concert. This isn't the opening night of the O2. We're saying goodbye to the King of Pop, and I think that's hitting home today.
Obviously, it's been confirmed in the last hour or so that the body will be coming here, and we're seeing pictures of it coming down. I mean, how do you think fans will react to that? Because you're going to, on one hand, have this concert celebrating his life, and then possibly we're going to see the casket maybe on stage.
That's going to be very strange. That, for me, is going to strike every nerve possible. It's going to be a surreal experience to think that he will be in the building. Yeah, it's going to really change the atmosphere, and I think for a lot of fans, it's just going to be one of those moments they'll never forget. Americans love this term closure. Do you think this gives closure to Michael Jackson fans, this event? Yeah, I think it will, actually. I think we need some sort of closure. So many believers it's actually happened. Today is about celebrating his life, celebrating his music, but also paying tribute to a man who died ridiculously young, father of 3 kids, a brother and uncle, whatever else. You know, this is the time just to pay our respects, say goodbye. Okay, Kevin, thank you. We're just looking at a shot of inside the Staples Center for this performance. As Kevin said, it's not a comeback tour, it's not a show, it's not a gig, but it's being staged slightly like that. It's not a memorial in a true sense, but it's a mixture of emotions really here for fans, and many of them have traveled around the world to be here at short notice and spent a lot of money to be here just to say their last respects to a man they dubbed the King of Pop.
Okay, Matt, thanks very much for now. We are expecting the motorcade carrying the coffin of Michael Jackson to arrive here in around about 10 minutes' time or something like that. Should I remind you a little bit about his life as we prepare to celebrate his death? He burst onto the world stage 1969, so that shows you how long ago, 40 years ago. He was 11 and he was singing with his brothers, I Want You Back. Apparently the PR team thought it would be a good idea to say he was 9 years old because that would make him more cute. So that was the confusion when he first appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show, I Want You Back, singing that with his brothers. He went on to bigger and bigger things. The Thriller album, do you remember that? 170 million copies sold worldwide. Then he went on to do the Off the Wall album that was produced by Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones said he was such a terrified young man that he used to have to hide behind the sofa, Quincy Jones, and Michael Jackson would sing in the dark with his hands over his head, deal with the stage fright. It obviously worked. He went on to produce Bad as well. Neither of those albums quite the success as Thriller, but it still made him a significant amount of money. Moonwalk, probably one of the best dance moves of all time. We saw that in Billie Jean in 1983. 47 million people saw him perform the moonwalk for the first time. That was at the Motown 25. And then in 1993, he performed live at the Super Bowl in front of 135 million people. 1 billion people will be watching him on television later on this evening to celebrate his life. He really shattered record industry records. It broke down cultural boundaries, is how it was described. Mass crossover appeal as well. Many described him, I suppose, as a transracial icon. That's what Al Sharpton described him as. But others thought he was a race traitor, the way he lightened his skin. Today, though, the fans want to forget all that. They just want to remember his music, and what a show they will see a little bit later on. Let's speak to Robert Nisbet, who is with some fans on the Walk of Fame, where his star has attracted many hundreds, thousands of people over the last 12 days. Robert, tell us what it's like where you are.
You're right, Kay. This has become a focal point, just as the Staples Center has where you are, and also Forest Lawn where Greg is. As soon as Michael Jackson died, the news came out. People came to this star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This is where Michael Jackson is commemorated along this strip. And just people who don't know Los Angeles, don't know Hollywood very well, this is really where it all happens. This is where the Oscars take place, and where really what in effect is the world's dream factory remembers its leading players, and Michael Jackson certainly was one of those. So people who haven't got tickets, who may have applied online but didn't get in, have been crowding around the star throughout the day. There are a lot of police around trying to make sure that the pavement isn't entirely blocked, and here you can see some balloons and some soft toys and various memorials and gifts left here for Michael Jackson to remember him. Some balloons just being tied to the crash barriers there. So let's talk to some of the people who are gathered, some of whom I would hazard a guess probably weren't alive when Thriller came out.
Oh, I was alive.
Oh, you were?
Yeah,
well, there you go. I've just flattered you. What was it about Michael Jackson then?
You know, I live in Israel, and I come from a city and a country dealing with conflict, and Michael Jackson was someone who sang about equality, and doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, we're all one people. And I think Michael Jackson was the first concert I ever went to, and it meant so much to me and to the people in my country, my family. He was a rock star. People can say what they want about him, and yes, he was surrounded by controversy, but he was an amazing performer, and I think that at the end of the day, that's how people are going to remember him.
But people did say terrible things about him. Is it hard to remember with affection someone who had so much rumour and speculation circulating around him?
Yeah, I think it is, but you've just got to remember the good with the bad, and the damage was kind of done for him, but it was never proven that anything, you know, all the things were dropped, so accusations against him, but...
We have Israel represented. You're obviously from Australia.
Yeah.
Okay, were you just on holiday here? Or
yeah, and it was just, it's really unfortunate that such a small minority of people are actually allowed at the Staples Centre. I think it would have been better if they could have had it somewhere where a lot more people would have been able to go and pay their respects to him.
Thanks, guys. Moving down the road. If I can talk to you, I mean, you weren't born when Thriller was out. Okay, right, okay, I got that bit right. But I mean, what is it about Michael Jackson, you know, that has attracted, I think it's a generational issue, that people your age right up to, you know, your parents and beyond?
Yeah, I think that he was a great performer, and he had music that really was good to listen to for all kinds of people, young and old, and that ability to perform and his, like the way that he drew people in, really that's why he was really so popular.
And I think it's fair if I could talk to you as well, you know, about kind of inspiration and how he inspired other artists.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't alive when he was big, but I know from everyone that I hear, like, he revolutionized music videos with Thriller. And while he did have a lot of controversy, like, he still had so many big songs and stuff. It's huge in all different ways.
Fantastic. Very good answer. Let's bring you in, sir. You've been here all morning, I know. A big fan of Michael Jackson?
Both, Michael and Janet.
Okay, and do you live locally?
I live in Needles, California.
So what is it about Michael Jackson? Then explain. We've heard some of people maybe slightly younger than you. You may have been around when some of the big albums were out.
Yeah, I was born in '82, and I used to sing Thriller in my baby crib, and I still sing it to today.
Now, what is it about the devotion of Jackson fans? I've been covering Michael Jackson stories for a long time, and I have never met fans as devoted. What is it specifically about Michael Jackson's personality that attracted such devotion in his fans?
I think it's more I wouldn't call it to the lyrics. You just become a part of it, you connect with it, and it makes one big family.
And did you connect with the man maybe because he was also vulnerable as well? You know, that there was a vulnerability about him?
The vulnerability, I can't say what he was feeling, but from what I felt from it, I think he showed his best on stage, connected well on stage, and they said he always did his best. And I saw a recent interview, and he said that he was always himself, and he took everything that he had and put it on stage and gave us a good show.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts. So that's just some of the reaction from the people here who didn't manage to get tickets. Back to you, Kay.
Thanks very much indeed, Robert. 17,500 lucky people did. Celebrities amongst them as well, though we've just had a few celebrity arrivals. Let me tell you who we saw. We saw Larry King. He does Larry King Live on Arrival Channel, should I say. He's been commenting on the death throughout. Dionne Warwick, she arrived as well just a short time ago, as indeed did the civil rights campaigner Jesse Jackson. Many other stars inside as well. Some of them doing readings, others carrying out performances on behalf of the late, great Michael Jackson. It was difficult to love him, is how some people described him. Also difficult not to. Let's talk about that with my guests. Still with me, Andrew Blankstein from the LA Times, and as well as you can see, Eric Peterson and Tanya Acker from the Huffington Post. Difficult to love him, difficult not to.
Obviously, it was a little bit of both. I mean, you had the accusations of child molestation, the eccentricities, some of the financial troubles he had in his later years. And so, obviously, that's dominated the press coverage of somebody who, in earlier times, obviously was a darling of the media world, And I think that's why people are of two minds. I mean, that's why you see some of the revisionist history that's going on. Some of the attention now focused on his entertainment career as it was when he was younger. But certainly it's hard to escape some of the things that went on in later years. And I think that's why, even though he was beloved, there's also an ambivalence there.
Eric, can we forget his weirdness now? He's an icon, he's a legend.
I think today we're going to forget about it. Going forward, it's going to be very difficult to separate the Michael Jackson of the last decade plus from the Michael Jackson we all grew up. You know, you were talking about hard to love him, hard not to. You know, as a kid, I was crazy. Like, here's this 11-year-old boy. I was 5 or 6. Maybe I could do that. I knew I couldn't, but it's beautiful. It's wonderful music that's held up. I just hope that the future generations at least get an idea of the music that he left behind, and he's not just remembered as that, you know, that weirdo who had the deals with the law and everything else. Sort of like with Elvis Presley, I hope that future generations don't think of Elvis as that, you know, fat guy in Vegas. I hope that they go back and they listen to the music, and I hope that the current generation, especially watching all this craziness, goes and just gets a chance to listen to some of the, especially the earlier music that I still adore, and if so, then yeah, we can forgive some of the weirdness. As a man who never had a childhood, went right on stage at that age, and now he's not going to have a chance to be an old man and live his golden years. That's pretty tragic. You know, it's tough to feel sorry for somebody who's a multi-millionaire and who has all the star accolades, but it's a tragic life that he wound up leading, and I do hope that we remember some of the music.
Tanya, just being told that the cortege has just arrived, and a 10-minute warning to the service starting, so we will let you all go in just a moment. But Tanya, you are a lawyer as well as a blogger for the Huffington Post. I wonder about the children. What's going to happen to them? There's going to be some sort of a battle for custody of them, and also the impact on them today. They've seen the service with their father, memorial service, up at a private service up at Forest Lawns, and then they're coming here for the public memorial. They'll have seen their grandmother upset as well. What about the kids?
I think it's lovely, frankly, that they're going to see this magnificent outpouring of public support for their father, given the fact that his life is really embroiled in so many dramas and controversies over the past 10 years. So I think this will be very good for the kids. I do think that going forward, we've just seen the tip of the iceberg in terms of the legal wrangling that's going to go on. You saw Katherine Jackson's attempt to control the estate was rebuffed by the court, although she is going to have significant input. There's going to be, I think they'll be fighting over wills and estate taxes for some time to come. Notwithstanding, in addition to that, there'll also, I think we're going to see some investigations by the state attorney general, doctors, and some of the doctors who are around him, and some of the other folks who are around him. But I think today is just the moment to celebrate the music and his memory.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, all of you, for joining us. I know that you want to get inside. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. Let me tell you about the memorial service as best we know it at the moment. It's likely to take something like 90 minutes or thereabouts. So you saw the pictures of the cortege arriving. So Michael Jackson will be taking centre stage, as he always did throughout his life. He'll do that in death as well. You can see the pictures inside as we speak to you. This is being produced by Kenny Ortega. He was the choreographer for Michael Jackson. He was there the night before Michael Jackson died. And also Ken Ehrlich. He produces the Grammys year after year. And he has put this show together as well. You've seen the list of performers, you've seen the list of speakers as well. We'll go through them as they appear. One notable who won't be here is Elizabeth Taylor. She'd been invited to speak actually, but she said, you know what, I don't want to be involved with the whoopla. She actually was tweeting on Twitter last night saying, Michael wouldn't want me to come. He knows how I feel about him. So she politely declined the invitation. Jermaine Jackson, we believe he is going to sing Smile Though Your Heart is Breaking. And we also believe that a rendition of We Are the World is going to be performed as well. Something like 1 billion people will be watching worldwide. 17,500 lucky fans, though, as part of that lottery, managed to get tickets to come here. Matt Smith is down in one of the front pens. Matt, you've seen quite a lot of them arriving. What sort of mood?
It's a real mixture, Kay. They're excited to be here. They're excited to be part of the very small amount, relatively, of Michael Jackson fans who've been allowed to come here in person and pay their last respects to him. But they're then arriving at the memorial walls and taking a moment to think about why they're here. So it's a real mix of emotions for them. And I think once the casket with Michael Jackson's remains is brought onto the stage and maybe shown to them, it's going to change the mood a little bit. And I wonder how they're going to play that out, because they're trying, they've got these performers on, they've got Stevie Wonder, they've got Usher, they've got these big musical tributes, but it's going to be very difficult for them to really measure that and bring out a sort of a real emotive mood in it. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, it certainly is. You're absolutely right. We've been talking and reflecting on his life and his performances. Thriller, probably the pinnacle of his career. He was looking for that elusive comeback with that 50-date tour. It was going to be incredibly grueling for him, wasn't it?
It was, and a real mix of reports about whether Michael Jackson actually knew he was signing up to 50 dates. Some reports saying that he was so strongly medicated on prescription medications his last days, he only realised that he was signing up for 10 dates. But fans, nevertheless, had bought tickets in their millions for those concerts, and they were hoping to see him do his one last show. Critics of Michael Jackson say, well, yes, Thriller was good, Off the Wall was good, Bad was good, but he hadn't really done a good record since then, and his career was in the doldrums very much. But in the late 80s, he was a groundbreaking artist, certainly in terms of the way he marketed himself as a pop artist. Well, yes, he didn't change the world in terms of society in the way maybe Elvis or the Beatles did, but he did learn how to and show the world how to package a pop act, and we're still seeing that today.
Yeah. Well, do you think he'll go down as an icon like his father-in-law, Elvis Presley?
I think he will, in the eyes of the fans, will always be an icon. And whether his music lives on, well, there is a question, really. I think some of it is a little bit dated, if I'm being honest. But the fans certainly, and the emotion from the fans here really is one of devotion. It's whether it carries on to the younger generation. But I think after death, it's certainly showing more interest, really, than he's certainly selling more records than he did in his later part of his life. But we can hear here the helicopter circling overhead. As you mentioned, the cortege arrived here a few minutes ago, went into a back entrance of the Staples Center, bringing Michael Jackson's casket here and his family members. And we understand that it's back on track, Kay.
Indeed, so we were actually shown inside the Staples Center a little bit earlier on in the week. It really is an absolute warren of tunnels underneath there, home of the LA Lakers, the ladies basketball team playing there as well just yesterday. And tomorrow there's going to be a circus, so if this couldn't get even more weird, I suppose, we did see at 2 o'clock this morning, LA time, the elephants with a group of local school children being paraded down one of the roads that has been closed off. I'm sure that Michael Jackson would see that as a fitting tribute. You'll remember, Matt, of course, that he had that one-man zoo, didn't he, up at Neverland?
Some people are remarking, as you just mentioned there, that the circus is a fitting kind of thing in the Michael Jackson story, given that this man lived his life so eccentrically. But his fans here, just talking to his fans, they're not really worried about Michael Jackson, the personal man. For them, he was an icon. He was almost like a demigod to them. He could do no wrong. I mean, certainly in the media, that other people had different opinions there. But to them, and to be here for them, it's closure, this term that the Americans like to use. It's the end of the chapter, really, on the Michael Jackson story for them.
Okay, we're looking at pictures of the Staples Center. We expect that memorial service to get underway in a very short time indeed. We're also hoping that Lou Ferrigno, you remember him as the Incredible Hulk? He was also Michael Jackson's personal trainer, and he is going to be coming up and talking to us in just a moment or two. Let me just tell you about the news side of things as we wait for this memorial service to get underway. I'm being told that 5 doctors are now being questioned by the LAPD, by Los Angeles Police Department, about the sort of chemical dependency that Michael Jackson had. He also apparently owed an LA pharmacy something like $100,000 for prescriptions that he didn't pay for over a 2-year period. They are suing him for that, we're told. But as far as the doctors are concerned, of course, Conrad Murray, who was his personal physician, he was being paid $150,000 a month in order to accompany him on tour. He was there when Michael Jackson died. He has been questioned twice now by the LAPD and 4 other doctors as well, who we believe did prescribe drugs to Michael Jackson over the last few months. They are also being questioned by the police. Let's talk now to Lou Ferrigno, who is with me. As many of you will remember him as the Incredible Hulk. You are standing right there. So you're live on Sky News in London at the moment as we speak.
You're going to look down on me today?
You're very tall, aren't you? Tell me about the memorial service and what it means to you.
I think it's wonderful because the family coming out going to bring a lot of emotion, because you get to see the Jackson sisters and the brothers, and I hope it be a national holiday from there, because the whole world's watching it, and how much. And I'm going to say goodbye to Michael because he's a close friend of mine. And it's really sad because we lost the best.
You had a similar challenge with your childhoods, didn't you?
Yeah, his escape from music, my escape was being a bodybuilding champion, and we were both extremists. And that's how we had a great connection, because we share a lot of things, because we both of us have strong, dominating fathers.
Now, talk to me about the training that you did with him.
Training was great. Treadmill, core training, ab training, band, everything, all for flexibility, stamina, and performance. But what made the whole thing is about the training, because I was alone with him. He trusted me that the old Michael was coming back. He came back from Europe, back here with his kids, and he said, I'm going to really come back and show everyone. So, I mean, no one could give me a better expression than that.
Did you not try and tell him not to take the drugs?
That never came up. I didn't know anything about that because I didn't see him for a few weeks. I know he had a chronic sleeping disorder, so he had a hard time sleep, but we never showed any sign of being stoned. We just wanted to sleep. All this kind of drugs and everything that kind of we resolved with the police department. We'll find out when the report comes out. But as far as I'm with him, there's never been a discussion. I've never seen him taking drugs. He had a jacket on. I've never seen needle marks.
You have a fantastic physique. He was, indeed so, most impressive, but he was very thin. However you look at it, he was very thin.
Lean, yeah, he was 126 pounds. I was with him.
Wow.
But
now in English money, that's about 8.5 stone.
Right, but 2 days before he died, he was only giving a rehearsal. Look how he moved. So I think it was all the stress, and like I said, he needed more time because it's like a crash course. And basically getting ready for the tour, he owed like $400 million, so there's a lot of stress. I think it's hard to get up.
What made him happy?
Children and close friends. People that he could trust. His children more than anything. I've seen him with the children. They were at the house, and at least he died happy.
Talk to me about the kids. He has tried. I mean, it was all a bit weird with the masks and that sort of thing. What sort of kids are they? What sort of children are they?
They were nice, well-mannered. They were not obnoxious. They were sweet. And he worked very hard to protect their privacy because of the way he grew up. And I know one thing: he did raise them different than his father did. He let them be who they want, because growing up, Michael didn't have a childhood. He had to constantly sing and dance and being, driven by his father. But at least, he had that chance to enjoy that part of his life before he died.
We will let you get inside before it starts, trust me, but all our viewers are fascinated by what you have to say, so you could indulge us for just a couple more minutes. Tell me why you think he wanted Diana Ross to look after his children if anything happened to Catherine.
Say that again, why?
Why Diana Ross to look after the children if anything happens to Catherine?
Because she's a sweet woman. And I think his mother, she's 80, and you know how much longer she's going to live. But he felt because he's a close friend of Diana Ross, he knows that she would raise the kid like he wanted her to raise, because she's seen how he's grown up with his father.
Okay. What about what made him sad? You talked about what made him happy.
Yeah, a lot of pain and anger.
Why?
Of growing up. When he was young, he would cry all the time because he felt like he was ugly, he had acne, and he couldn't
Why was that?
Because he couldn't make friends. You know how to make friends. He would cry all the time. But
is that because of his father?
Partially, but the fact that he's very self-conscious and he never really had much of a social life. He was like a loner. And he told me all he did mostly was reading Incredible Hulk comic, watching Hulk movies. And that was his fantasy. But that's how we came together, because he made up for it later in life.
Tell me how the phone call went when he rang you and said, "Hi, this is Michael Jackson."
It was funny, but first he used the word Omar, kind of teased me inside. So he's a prankster.
Yeah, okay. But tell me what the mood will be like inside today.
I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be emotional. It's going to be sad. We're going to see the family. And he's not going to sing for us, but inside of us, we're going to sing for him.
What are you most looking forward to?
To see today how much the world was affected by him this past 2 weeks with nothing but joy and peace. Have you ever noticed read the news? It's almost like a standstill. It's like a tribute to Michael, because we'll never have another king like Michael.
Final thought, Louis, I know you've got to go. At home, a lot of people are thinking, put him to rest, let him lie in peace, and yet he's being brought here. Some people see this as him being paraded, and then maybe he'll be taken to Neverland, maybe not. Is this appropriate for Michael Jackson?
Well, I think for the fans, I think to bring him here was a good decision. Why didn't they? Because they get a chance to feel his soul. They make a connection with him, because if he wasn't brought here, then we'll be looking at his movies and everything. At least that we all know that he's with us today. Regardless if he's dead, but he's with us, he's there.
And how will you remember your friend?
Can't replace him. I just, in my heart, remember the things he taught me, though. I would be better to myself and try and be a better dancer than I am today.
We're going to let you go. We appreciate you taking the time. Thank you very much
Thank
indeed
you,
for joining us on Sky News. Thanks a lot. Lou Ferrigno, otherwise known as AKA the Incredible Hulk. He was the trainer for Michael Jackson, and he last saw him about 3 weeks before he died. Matt Smith is still with us. He's down in the front pen. Most of the fans inside now, presumably, Matt.
That's right, the last few just taking pictures outside the Memorial Hall. Inside the Staples Center here, as you say, home of the LA Lakers. The stage is set. It's blue light on the stage at the moment, floral tributes in front of it, and a real sense of expectation about what's to happen. The body was brought in to the Staples Center here about 20 minutes or so ago. So presumably the arrangement's still going on backstage into when to start this service. We're saying we were hearing that it was going to be at the top of the hour here. It's obviously been slightly delayed. It's now obviously 5 past, and we understand the next few minutes the tributes and the show will start. A 90-minute show, we understand. A lot of it being kept under wraps. We know there's some big names, Lionel Richie among them, Stevie Wonder, another one maybe be closing the show, but also there's been talk about maybe a surprise appearance from Prince, maybe a surprise video tributes from people like Madonna and Justin Timberlake, and maybe Diana Ross starting the show as well. They've done amazingly well to get it together in such a short amount of time, and it has been slightly shrouded in secrecy, but maybe because the arrangements have been dealt with right up until the last minute. But fans really amazed that they're here. There is a real mix of emotions for them. They're very excited, but they're also very sad at the same time. But a lot of them just feel very lucky. They had to enter this online lottery. A million of them took part in this online lottery to win tickets. Only 17,500 actually got them. Many more wanted them, and many more have come here, even though the LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department, has locked down this area and said to any fans without tickets to stay away. But inside are 17,500 people ready to watch this show, as are an estimated billion TV viewers around the world.
Indeed so. In fact, Sky News was the first news outlet in the world to break the list of performers and speakers for the service later on. Let me just run through some of them for you. Thanks for that, Matt. Ron Boyd, he's a family friend. He's going to be speaking, we believe. Kobe Bryant, he plays for the Lakers. This is the Lakers home behind me. Mariah Carey, Grammy Award winner, she's going to be performing as well. Now, when I saw the Andre Crouch Choir, I wasn't sure who they were to start with. I'm sure that Michael Jackson aficionados there will know that they were the backing group for Man in the Mirror. No prizes for guessing what they are going to perform. Berry Gordy. Berry Gordy is the man who set up Motown Records. He is going to come along to pay his final respects to Michael Jackson as well. Jennifer Hudson. She won American Idol. She also won an Oscar. She will be singing, as will Shaheen Jaffargholi. Now, many of our viewers in the UK will know who Shaheen Jaffargholi is if I tell you that he is an 11-year-old. He was one of the finalists on Britain's Got Talent, and during the process of getting to the final, he sang that Michael Jackson record, do you remember? Well, he is going to be performing as well. Magic Johnson, he was an all-time star for the LA Lakers. He's going to be a part of the celebrity lineup, as indeed is Martin Luther King III and Bernice A. King. They are both the children of Martin Luther King, both civil rights campaigners now. John Mayer, he performed, didn't he? I'm sure you know.
The ceiling
at the John. Oh, somebody's speaking to me actually as I talk to you, so I'm just going to turn that down for just a second while we sort that out here in LA. I'm sure someone will sort that out for me. Let me tell you what I was telling you. John Mayer. Talk about him in a bit more detail. He is also a performer. He performed at the acceptance speech by President Obama. Now we get on to the good ones. Lionel Richie, more my era. And Smokey Robinson, he's going to be performing as well. Reverend Al Sharpton, civil rights campaigner, he has been a spokesperson for the family. And Brooke Shields, she dated Michael Jackson, if that's the right word. Not sure what that involved, but she dated him for a short time. And also Pastor Luscious Smith, what a great name. He's a family friend. Usher, the new generation, he says that he was massively influenced by Michael Jackson. He is going to be performing, as indeed, last but not least, is Stevie Wonder. He said, yeah, I'd love to come along and I'd love to perform. So that is what Sky News understands will be part of the lineup inside. They say it's going to take 90 minutes. That's a lot to pack into 90 minutes, isn't it? See the pictures inside as I speak to you. We are expecting Michael Jackson's casket to take centre stage inside the Staples Centre, which can actually hold 20,000 people. So there will be a significant number of fans, 11,000 fans over there, and then there will also be a bit of an overspill. Just looking behind me as I talk to you, we can see the LAPD that was the Outriders. They are going by now, so obviously the casket is being put in place inside. I was just telling you about the Nokia Centre, that's over to my left. The people who got those tickets will not see the service live, but they will see it on giant screens inside the Nokia Centre. AEG Live wanted to do all they could to get as many fans as they possibly could inside this locked off area to make sure that they could enjoy the moment, enjoy saying goodbye, a final fond farewell to Michael Jackson. And Matt Smith has been watching them arrive over the last, hour or so, Matt?
They're just coming through. I'm just seeing the last couple of fans coming through now. And really for them, it's been an expectation of what this event is going to be like, but also a sense that this is it, really. Slightly ironic, that was the name of his, to come back to all that wasn't going to happen for them. This is the chance, well, for a very small percentage of them, it has to be said, only 17,500 fans coming here to see really the end of the Michael Jackson story. We understand music is being played, Michael Jackson music is being played inside the Staples Centre while the show is getting ready to start. As you say, we're expecting a 90-minute memorial service, although it will be fairly upbeat. To be a lot of performances from those stars, Kay, that you were mentioning, but there will be obviously readings, and we're about to start. Back to you.
Okay,
I'm trying to find closure.
Let's take you inside now, should
I want you to know that even though
Smokey
I'm not there at the
Robinson,
Staples Center,
fantastic. He is going to be performing, we believe, a little bit later on.
This feels right for me.
And let's listen, should we, to what Smokey Robinson has to say.
Treasured part of my world, part of the fabric of my life, in a way that I can't seem to find words to express. Michael wanted me to be there for his children, and I will be there if they ever need me. I hope today brings closure for all those who loved him. Thank you, Catherine and Joe, for sharing your son with the world and with me. I send my love and condolences to the Jackson family. Diana Ross. Dear Jackson family, it is with great sadness that we learned of the untimely death of Michael Jackson. Michael became close to us after he started visiting and performing in South Africa regularly. We grew fond of him, and he became a close member of our family. We had great admiration for his talent and that he was able to triumph over tragedy on so many occasions in his life. Michael was a giant and a legend in the music industry, and we mourn with the millions of fans worldwide. We also mourn with his family and his friends over the loss of our dear friend. He will be missed, and memories about him cherished for a very long time. My wife and I, our family, our friends, send you our condolences during this time of mourning. Be strong. Nelson Mandela.
So opening tributes by Smokey Robinson, one of the all-time legends of Motown, of course, paying a silent tribute to Michael Jackson, the king of pop, who died 12 days ago. Michael Jackson's casket is inside the Staples Center. 17,500 fans paying tribute to the king of pop, who died from cardiac arrest at his home. 12:30 p.m. Taken by ambulance to the local hospital here, just a minute's drive away. The doctors in ER worked on him for an hour and a half, but finally came out and told his family that there was no hope. Let me tell you a little bit about Michael Jackson's life. He burst onto the world stage at the age of just 11, singing on the Ed Sullivan Show with his brothers, I Want You Back. That was in 1969. He was actually 11 years old, although the PR people had thought that it would be cuter if they'd said that he was just 9. So a lot of confusion over the years on Michael Jackson's age. That probably explains why. After the Jackson 5, he went on to bigger and bigger things. The Thriller album, 170 million copies that was sold. These are live pictures from inside the Staples Center. We're expecting quite a lineup of stars to pay their final tributes to Michael Jackson. Smokey Robinson starting off there, as you heard. Of those who aren't coming today, Elizabeth Taylor. She said she didn't want to be involved with the whoopla, as she put it, of the whole event, and she went on, she was tweeting, she said, Michael knows how I felt about him. Others, though, do feel that they want to pay their final tributes here. Ron Boyd, he is a family friend. We believe that he will be doing a reading. Also, Kobe Bryant. Now, Kobe Bryant, to our viewers in the UK, he is a massive Lakers star. They play in the Staples Center. They just won the NBA championships. He will also be here, as will Mariah Carey. No doubt Mariah Carey will be singing for us. She recently won a Grammy. The Andre Crouch Choir. They were the backing choir for Man in the Mirror. So there's no prizes really as to guess what they might be performing for us today. Also here, we're told, is Berry Gordy. Berry Gordy is the founder of Motown, and he wanted to come along and pay his final respects, as did Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson won American Idol. She's also won an Oscar, in fact. She will be performing, and will also Shaheen Jaffagoli. He's just 11 years old. He's from the UK, and viewers will probably remember him as one of the finalists on Britain's Got Talent. He's been asked to perform because on his journey to the final, he sang a Michael Jackson record, and he will be performing that a little bit later on at the memorial service. Also here is Magic Johnson, another big Lakers star, no longer plays. In fact, he recently announced that he was HIV positive. Magic Johnson will also be in the auditorium. A couple of the children of Martin Luther King, his son Martin Luther King III and his sister Bernice A. King. They are both speaking. And as the silent tributes continue, I just will go through the rest of the list for you. John Mayer, he is a performer, and John Mayer will be singing here at the memorial service to remember Michael Jackson. John Mayer actually performed at the acceptance speech by now President Obama in Denver in Colorado. As well as John Mayer, the great Lionel Richie, he is also going to be performing, we're told. We've already seen Smokey Robinson, haven't we? He started off proceedings, and we're also told that the Reverend Al Sharpton, he has been a family spokesperson over the last 12 days since Michael Jackson died. He is also going to be at the service. Brooke Shields. Brooke Shields, you'll have seen a lot of while she was dating Michael Jackson in the 1990s, beginning of the 1990s, late 1980s, and she had been invited along, and we believe that she has also accepted. The rather appropriately named Pastor Luscious Smith, he's a family friend, and he will be doing a reading. For our younger viewers, Usher, I believe, is very popular with youth, and so my son tells me, and he is also going to be performing, as indeed is Stevie Wonder, probably one of the best known of the Motown greats. He is also going to be performing a little bit later on. Now, one of the big surprises for us today was that Michael Jackson's casket was brought from the Forest Lawn Memorial Service, and he has been brought down on the highway. We believe that he is taking centre stage here at the Staples Centre. Matt Smith is with us. Matt, we're waiting for the service to begin proper, I suppose. We have had several minutes of silence in memory of Michael Jackson.
Yeah, we're still a bit in the dark, like they are, by the looks of it, about how this sort of order this service is going to take. It's been sort of shrouded in secrecy a little bit. They've given us a rough idea of who will be there, but not when and how they'll appear. And I think probably that was being decided right up until the last minute. Some 17,500 fans there sat there expectantly, but really they don't know what's going to happen. And I think certainly the fact that the body's going to turn up has been a totally new element to this. And I think maybe they've had to reschedule some of the show there.
I'm sure that's the case, and also I'm sure it's a very, very difficult time for the family, not least the three children. The eldest, I think, is just 12.
And there's a real mess over the paternity of those children, and we're still trying to ascertain whether Michael Jackson was actually indeed the father of those children, whether actually he was part of the process. I mean, Debbie Rowe, we understand there's a question mark over whether she was the natural mother or whether that she was fertilised with somebody else's egg. So it's all very, very confusing. We're not actually sure if the children are here. I think the feeling was from the family to keep them away, wasn't it?
There was some confusion about what would be the most appropriate for the children. Speaking as a mother, I'm sure it's going to be a very difficult time. Well, the youngest just 7.
Yeah, that's right. It's very difficult for them to understand that their father is dead. I mean, it's very difficult to explain to any child, really, but certainly that age, they'd be probably too young to understand it.
Yeah, and difficult too for Catherine Jackson. She's 79 years old. She was with her son every single day during that court case. Whatever you think about his proclivities, whatever you think about the way Michael Jackson has behaved, no one can discredit his mother.
And I think if you look at Michael Jackson in his lifetime, he was a boy trapped into a man's body, and I think he was probably still very close to his mother. He wasn't really fully adept at coping with the adult world, I think, and his mother was there for him to depend on, although now we're seeing the twists and turns in the story, aren't we, that she's being cut out of administering the will, and the estate is being handed to sort of legal to lawyers rather than her, so it's a bit difficult, but they seem to have regained a little bit of control, don't they, the family? It seems to have come back, they closed ranks. You're up there in Encino with them, and they seem to be driving this a little bit more. It's what they want rather than what the pressures of the outside world is asking for.
Yeah, if you're just tuning our way, we're here on Sky News. We're also on Sky Arts 1 HD. We are monitoring and showing to you live what's happening inside the Staples Centre, where the memorial service for Michael Jackson is taking place. We've had several minutes of silence, quiet contemplation for those inside as they gather their thoughts in preparation for this memorial service. We believe that in total it's likely to last something like 90 minutes or thereabouts. Been put together by Ken Ehrlich.
Yeah, and very fast amount of time. I mean, this show really was decided in the last few days, really. And AEG, obviously the people who own the Staples Centre, they were going to be staging these comeback gigs in London, and they've moved in to kind of just get the show together very quickly. And looking around, I mean, I've covered 7 or 8 Oscar events, and nothing is on this scale. I mean, this is absolutely huge. There are media from all over the world here. Everybody wants a part of the Michael Jackson story. For the fans, it's very difficult because for them it's a very exciting event to be at, but a very difficult one to be because this is their final goodbye. Although this is the Michael Jackson story, this is not going to be the end of this story.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. And as we were just saying there, 17,500 fans inside. It's a 20,000-seater capacity stadium. Many thousands more fans than that have arrived. The reason that you can't see them milling around outside is because the screens were being switched off. You can see that they are showing images of him there with Lionel Richie, as you can see, of the course of his life, but they weren't going to broadcast live what was happening inside. LAPD saying, you know what, we don't want you anywhere near here. Watch it on TV, you'll get a much better picture, and we don't want you in the area. Could cause all sorts of problems.
Very deliberate move by them, because they were worried that people were going to congregate around here just to try and crane their necks, because we are in downtown Los Angeles. It's sort of a shopping district, isn't it, this? And although bits of it are cordoned off, you could have still got big congregations of crowds. I think it's probably quite a smart move to switch those screens off, not to relay it outside. We're standing next to another venue just to the sort of right of our camera here, which is where they're relaying it to, aren't they? So there are several other venues in Los Angeles.
6,500 people in there.
In that one, and then there's some others dotted around Los Angeles. But they wanted people out of this downtown area unless they were invited to the show, unless they got these tickets, these 17,500 tickets that run on lottery. A lot of fans, though, it has to be said, did come here on the off chance, didn't they?
They certainly did.
Some
and
got
2 lucky fans.
Yeah, like those Welsh ladies, they got lucky.
But we gave tickets to 2 lucky fans.
A lot are very disappointed, and a lot are watching it in the bars around here.
Yeah, indeed. So apparently policing of this event is costing something like $2.5 million, which is a huge problem for the city of Los Angeles. It's effectively broke at the moment. They don't have that sort of money. They do have a contingency plan for big events like this, but even so, they don't have the $2.5 million. And given that the teachers are being sacked left, right and centre because there's not enough money to employ them, and the class sizes are being made bigger and bigger, not everybody's happy that this is happening.
And it's probably fair to say that all the media here are being charged to be here at this event.
Let's not say how much, but it's a lot of money.
But that's unusual for an event like this to be charged. But obviously, California, as you say, is overspent. This event is costing a fortune. Just shutting off roads, police escorts costs a lot of money, and I think they've got to try and get the money back somehow.
Okay, let's go back inside.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Pastor Lucius Smith, and I am proud to call the Jackson family my friends. To millions around the world, Michael Jackson was an idol, a hero, even a king. But first and foremost, this man before us today was our brother, our son, our father, and our friend. Michael Jackson was and always shall be a beloved part of the Jackson family and the family of man. And so today we gather those who know and love Michael best and those who came to know and love him through his good works. We come together in this space where only days ago Michael sang and danced and brought his joy as only he could. We come together and we remember the time. We remember this man by celebrating his life and all of the love that he brought to our own lives for half a century. Our hearts are heavy today because this man, this brother, this son, this father, and this friend is gone far too soon. But as long as we remember our time with him, the truth is, he is never really gone at all. As long as we remember him, he will be there forever to comfort us. In his very beautiful and very human heart, Michael Jackson wanted nothing more than to give love to the world, to share of his singular talent and his soul, and perhaps be loved back in return. Through his words, his music, and his countless good deeds, Michael did so much to try and heal our world. And so for the Jackson family and for all who grieve his loss everywhere in our world, may this moment of remembrance, a moment of healing, a moment of music, and a moment of love bring comfort to those who loved our friend. God bless you.
never will say goodbye. No, 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 no. Even through the pain and heartache, we will be right there. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, gonna be right there. Gonna be right there. Gonna be right there. Thank you, Jesus. We miss you.
I'm here representing millions of fans around the world who grew up listening to Michael, being inspired, and loving Michael from a distance. All of you. Somehow when Michael Jackson sang and when he danced, we never felt distant. We felt like he was right there, right for us. You believed in Michael and he believed in you. He made you believe in yourself. I loved him all my life. One of the first records my brother and I ever bought was Dancing Machine. And I'll never forget the two of us trying to get the robot going, trying to be like the Jackson 5. Thank you. Thank you. Michael was the biggest star on earth. He let me know that as an African American, you could travel the world. There was a world outside of America, other people. All you people who came here to pay respect to someone who you felt was one of you, a human being, first. This morning I spoke with perhaps one of our greatest poets, Maya Angelou, and I'm so honored that she asked me to share some words that she wrote for Michael. We Had Him, by Dr. Maya Angelou. Beloveds, now we know that we know nothing. Now that our bright and shining star can slip away from our fingertips like a puff of summer wind. Without notice, our dear love can escape our doting embrace, sing our songs among the stars, and walk our dances across the face of the moon. In the instant we learn that Michael is gone, we know nothing. No clocks can tell our time, and no oceans can rush our tides. With the abrupt absence of our treasure, though we are many, each of us is achingly alone, piercingly alone. Only when we confess our confusion can we remember that he was a gift to us, and we did have him. He came to us from the Creator, trailing creativity and abundance. Despite the anguish of life, he was sheathed in mother love and family love and survived, and did not more than that. He thrived with passion and compassion, humor and style. We had him. Whether we knew who he was or did not know, he was ours and we were his. We had him, beautiful, delighting our eyes. He raked his hat slant over his brow and took a pose on his toes for all of us. and we laughed and stomped our feet for him. We were enchanted with his passion because he held nothing. He gave us all he had been given. Today, in Tokyo, beneath the Eiffel Tower, in Ghana's Black Star Square, in Johannesburg and Pittsburgh, in Birmingham, Alabama, and Birmingham, England, we are missing Michael Jackson. But we do know we had him, and we are the world. Thank you.
Father, help your children and don't let them fall by the side of the road. Oh, and teach them to love one another, and heaven might find a place in their hearts, 'cause Jesus is love. He won't let you down, and I know He's mine. He's mine forever. His head of love and his wisdom will be our helping hand. And I know the truth, and his words will be our salvation. Lift up our hearts to be thankful.
He was driven by his hunger to learn, to constantly top himself, to be the best. He was the consummate student. He studied the greats and became greater. He raised the bar and then broke the bar. His talent and creativity thrust him and entertainment into another stratosphere. The Motown family mourns the death of our friend and brother, Michael Jackson, who was like a son to me. Our deep condolences go out to all his family, his parents, Joe and Catherine, his beautiful children, his sisters and brothers, and his nieces and nephews. Michael Jackson was 10 years old when he and his brothers, Jackie, Jermaine, Tito, and Marlon, auditioned for me at Motown. In Detroit that July day in 1968, and blew us all away. The Jackson 5 were just amazing, and little Michael's performance was way beyond his years. This little kid had an incredible knowingness about him. He sang with such feeling and inspiration. Michael had a quality that I couldn't completely understand, but we all knew he was special. Aside from singing and dancing like James Brown and Jackie Wilson, he sung a Smokey Robinson song called "Who's Loving You?" He sang it with the sadness and passion of a man who had been living the blues and heartbreak his whole life. And as great as Smokey sang it, I thought Michael was better. You know. I went to Smokey and I said, "Hey man, I think he got you on that one." Smokey said, "Me too." That was Motown. Motown was built on love and competition, and sometimes the competition got in the way of the love, but the love always won out. We competed on everything. In California, we had a baseball game every week, the Jacksons versus the Gordys. Unfortunately for us, Tito and Jackie were big home run hitters. They would knock the ball out of the park. But then, so was my son, Barry. And I'm not going to tell you who won most of the games, but I will tell you that the Gordys cried a lot. And even though little Michael was the catcher for the Jacksons and missed a lot of balls, we still cried a lot. But we swam and we joked and we played games. And when Michael performed his songs, you could feel the happiness in his soul, because that's what he loved to do. Michael inspired me so much that for days I walked around humming a bright little happy tune with him in mind. Oh, baby, da da dee da da, da 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 da. Then I put a group together and we came up with 4 hit records for them. I Want You Back, ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There. The Jackson 5 was the only group in history to have their first 4 records go to #1. In 1983, the brothers reunited and returned to do Motown 25th anniversary show. After a high-powered, dazzling medley of their songs, Michael took the stage alone and made pop history. From the first beat of Billie Jean, toss of that hat, I was mesmerized. But when he did his iconic moonwalk, I was shocked. It was magic. Michael Jackson went into orbit and never came down.